long time ago in a galaxy almost far, far away, four makers unite in order to share and discuss their maker knowledge and some interesting topics along the way. Join us as we light the spark that brings back your childhood in the Almost Star Wars show!
Hey guys, we're back again for another episode of the Almost Star Wars show. We're in the same clothes. It's almost as if we recorded two on the same night. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about, does it change the making process if you're making stuff, props, whatever, for YouTube? It's something that we touched on a little bit in an episode, a few episodes ago when Brian wasn't with us, and we're going to revisit that today in a little bit more detail. I'm James from the Rebel Base Build, and as always, I'm here with my friends.
Dennis with the Black Market Outpost.
Ron, otherwise known as CG Artist.
And Brian with the Smuggler's Room.
Awesome. So, Brian, this
Yes.
kind of feels like something that you might have something to say about. So why don't you take it away?
I probably have too much to say about it. It's a fascinating concept, and I'm kind of excited that we're touching on it, because as someone that's made things for years, then shifting gears to make things to share online in whatever medium, but in this case YouTube, I think it changes the entire process. For one, you're talking about utilizing a camera for every step of your process, depending on what it is you're trying to shoot. So maybe that's really the first question. What is it you want to share? Do you want to share something that's step by step? Are you teaching somebody how to do some particular thing? Or are you just sharing the process of the project? And all of those things play into how you're going to make a project, right? So I would imagine for each of us, we all make a decision on what it is the goal of that episode we're making is about. And personally, I think my brain gets in the way more often than not of like what I'm going to do. What is the purpose behind what I'm doing that? I'm super curious what you guys think as you're starting that process.
Yeah, I think like my process has sort of evolved on its own. In the beginning, it was very step-by-step how to.
Right.
But as I moved along and learned my equipment, and that plays a big part in all of it. I mean, you're going to start a YouTube channel. You're not a cameraman. You're not an editor. You're a hobby builder. So even that stuff is a learn as you go type process.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a matter of really just jumping in and kind of seeing where the flow takes you, what it evolves into. Like I said, my first, 4 or 5 videos are all literally step by step.
Right.
And then as I progressed, I got more into the cinematic, I guess is the word, of a video. So I think it's just a matter of getting started and kind of feeling out what your style is going to end up to be.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
I have to give kudos to people who have done it before us. I admit I look at some of the other stuff. I know, Dennis, you mentioned Peter McKinnon. We watch artists like that, not necessarily builders, but just artists, how they present the information, what we do and what we don't like about what we see. Like we'll watch some shows, someone may be a tad too chatty, or someone may not show exactly what I was looking for. I mean, you mentioned that you're going to, today we're going to do this and this. I'm like, oh, all right, well, you got me. I want to watch that. And then we don't get to see the final product. I'm like, dang. And so I think about that, like, okay, if I were watching this, I would want to see the step-by-step, I throw some humor in there when I make my videos, because I love the humor aspect of it. It keeps people watching, get that one, there's someone who'll get what I'm saying or get the reference and think that's pretty funny. But then on top of that, I want to make sure I show every step of it, because at the end of the day, I'm thinking, all right, is someone going to try to copy and make this same thing or something similar? They're going to want to know some of these steps or pitfalls that I've fallen into. Because every time I watch a tutorial, be it on computer graphics, on building something, even on putting making a change to my vehicle or doing some sort of plumbing or electricity around the house. Long story short, I need to see all the steps, and nothing pains me more than when something is omitted, like something it's the most important step of the entire project, and you skipped right over it. You didn't even show it. You just all of a sudden, and then here's what it looks like. See, and then I'm like, no, and I almost want to stop the video at that point. So that's why I try to, at least that's my thinking when I'm videoing, making my videos. Even when I've made the product, and I know I've said this before, I've made the entire product. I'm done. It's hung up on the wall and everything. I look back at editing and I'm like, shoot, I forgot to show that process.
Yeah.
Do I say that the camera, oh, sorry, I forgot. I must have pressed record when I pressed pause. Do I say that? Which it happens. And you guys know that happens constantly. You think you've hit record, you've done the whole thing, and you're like, uh-oh. You press the button and now it's recording. You're like, no. For me, I would rather keep that part, because that's what I'm going to use. That's perfect. I put my precision into it, and just grab another piece of wood and just kind of redo it just to get the shot. And does it make for a longer process? It does.
Sure.
But I thank myself in editing, because I'm like, okay, there's that shot. That shot makes sense. That's the different angle of the thing I was just doing. It flows better. So I know I got long-winded on it, but the thing I'm thinking about is showing all the steps, making it flow, and above all, making it entertaining. And of course, if the camera wasn't on, it would have been done with this thing a long time ago, on to the next project. But it takes so much time to do it. Like, you have to film, pause, move the camera to a different position, film. Okay, let me finish cutting. When I could have just cut the board and been done with it. So there's that.
That right there speaks to me so much. I mean, on my YouTube channel, because it's so old, it's only really become the Rebel Base build in the last couple of years. Beforehand, it was all about showing promotional videos of my 3D work, but if you go back to the R2D2 build from 2015, I wasn't doing YouTube. I was in my garage making myself an R2D2, pretty poor one actually. He's a really budget build, but I'm happy with him. And
it's good to me.
I took lots of pictures of the build, lots and lots of pictures, just because I wanted to document it. I wasn't even thinking about YouTube at the time, but I took hundreds of pictures. I thought, well, yeah, that would be interesting. It's nice to sort of flick back and see that. It started off with a lampshade, and the rest is chunky MDF. I mean, he weighs an absolute ton, doesn't do anything, just the lights come on. I had a piece of acrylic that I marked all of the designs out with a soldering iron. It's not even double skinned, but to me, I was building R2D2.
Yeah,
and I did it so quick. That's the thing. It was literally a couple of 3 weeks, I think, of weekends and a few evenings, because I didn't have to care about where am I going to place the camera, or oh shit, did I get that on film, or is the lighting right? Have I got my best side in the shot? All this, I didn't have to care about any of those things. I was just making R2D2 and feeling quite happy about that in my garage. and then if you fast forward to when I got inspired by you guys and Brian, obviously I found his channel. We've told the story before, the godfather of room building. I'm like, yeah, I want to do that. And then I only realized just how much I'd bitten off when I did my first video of like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, it's going to be great.
Yeah,
hell yeah, that's a lot of work. Because like you've just said, I think Dennis, you said it, you're not just making the model, you're the director, you're the sound technician, you're the cameraman, you're the lighting
editor, marketing, all of it.
Yeah, and I'm not a master of all of those things. I mean, I know video editing, I've always done that. I mean, I kind of teach that as part of my discipline, but it still doesn't mean I'm an expert at that field. I know enough to teach 16, 17-year-old kids how to use Premiere Pro, and I might have some artistic ability in knowing what shots look good, but all that does is lengthens the whole process of making my prop. It gets in the way, goddammit, of making things quickly. But I do like to see the video at the end of it, because it's just such a great documentation of your build, And like you were saying, Ron, if someone has taken something from it and it's acted like a tutorial for them and they can do something else, I mean, that's why I'm a teacher, because moving the idea from here into somebody else's mind is a massively rewarding concept. And that's what the videos are doing. Brian, you're particularly very good at that, sort of getting that across through your videos. We all are in different ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, it fundamentally changes the process of making in ways that I couldn't even begin to list.
Yeah, we started the entire reason we started our channel was that I was rebuilding our basement project, and my wife said, you should film it. and I think the reason she said it was for not really anything at the time more than just a documentary of something we did that was completely nuts, right?
Mhm.
Now we get all the time, well, when are you going to finish the basement? Well, what happened was the YouTube channel became something we had never intended it to be, which was it attracted an audience of people that suddenly felt like we gave them permission to do something they didn't know they could do, or got inspired to try something that they never did. And it shifted our focus. So when you asked if you know, having the YouTube channel changes the direction, it totally does, because we spend more time thinking of how can we make a video that'll get someone that's never done something interested enough to go do it. And that became more important than the projects that we were making, which is why so many of them really never get done. But I think I'm okay with that. I've become okay with that. Let's put it that way. Like I would rather learn that 4 or even 1 person watched something and then said, well, we watched that and then we went and made it. And to me, that was like what you said, James. It's like taking that idea and putting it into someone else's head and then having them go do it. Shoot, I'm all for that. If my room was never finished, I would never care if I knew there were 100 people out there that were all making really awesome stuff, right?
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just a lot of fun.
I enjoy doing the videos. Could I make things a lot faster? Could I have a complete room?
Oh,
Could I have,
absolutely.
you know, like we see a lot of the guys on the Facebook page.
On the
In a
Room
matter
Builders
of
group,
in a matter of a week or two, they got 3 or 4 walls up.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
in a matter of a week or two, I barely edit 2 videos.
Well, there's a time thing with that, right? For all of
Yeah,
us, right? It's where do you
absolutely.
find the time to I've watched, if you've started a YouTube channel, you're thinking about it, and that's why you're listening to this today, you're going to find that there's a lot of content out there on how to make a YouTube channel, how to grow a YouTube channel, and so on. What I find interesting about a lot of those is that they'll focus on specific things to grow a channel, but rarely, if ever, have I found one that was saying, okay, you make things and then you do a YouTube episode of it. It's the making part of it. So for all 4 of us,
Right.
we don't just sit down and talk to the camera and then we have a video. We actually have to build a project. So for the 4 of us, we design it, right? We figure out what it is we're going to make. Then we build it. Then we record it. Then it gets edited and then we release it.
Right.
I'm not crying or whining about it. I'm just saying that's our process.
Right.
So I think for all of us, time becomes a thing. How can you make really good stuff and upload it every week and make sure you're providing quality at the end of the day? That's what we struggle
Right.
with
Yeah.
on our channel all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And to be honest with you, to go right back to what you were just saying, if you want to make videos in the style that we make videos, stay away from those people. Don't watch this is how you're going to grow your channel.
Yeah.
This is how you're, because it's
Sort of.
it's nowhere along the lines of a builder's channel, right?
Well, there is and there isn't, right, Dennis? Because like you're right, the building part of it, but all the other things that come with it, you need those. You need to be able to know how to keyword search. YouTube's the 2nd largest search
Right.
engine in the world. So if I make a video on how to make this ring and no one's searching for it, no one's ever going to watch me make this because
Right.
they're not looking for it. So that part of it, I think, is where those channels are valuable. But I'd love to find someone that's made a channel that does what we do and
Yeah.
then ties it into that.
Right. I mean, I get your point. And I guess I do agree with what you're saying, but along the lines of the amount of videos they can put out, the amount of
Oh yeah.
weekly videos, daily videos in some cases,
Yeah. That's
you'd
crazy.
never be able to do that in the style of video or building that we partake in.
Yeah.
I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
get you
hard to
now.
do even one
Yeah.
every week. I mean, that means you have to
is.
come up with a very unique idea that's nothing like the last idea, unless it's a part
Yeah.
1 or 2 or like a series, and build it in a week. And you know who's good at that is the Boylai Hobby. I don't know how he does that, man. Amazing.
I
Unique
talked with him
projects
about
every
it.
week.
I asked him. He does build his models are small in scale, right? So
Mhm.
the size of the project for him is manageable. And that's something I've never been able to learn how to do, is manage. It's always like, no, I'm going to build this monstrosity that's going to take me 3 months, you know?
Right.
I know all about it.
I was going to say procrastination for me is the biggest thing. I think I touched a
Mm.
little bit on this last time, but just to give you an idea, I've been building stuff from the Fallen Order video game, and I've been so for me, my project is to 3D model one of the robot, the droid characters in there, and then create the terrain. So I've spent ages watching terrain videos. You know that because I've been dropping those videos into the chat, saying, "Hey, check this out," and you guys like, "Oh, you're only just watching this one now." So I'm finding inspiration, and then I've ordered plaster of Paris or whatever you call it,
Yeah.
Mod
Yeah.
Podge and
Yeah.
scenic grasses and all these things. So Amazon have been at my door every single morning this week, dropping stuff off, and I'm thinking, yeah, any minute now I'm going to crack out a build. It's going to happen. It's going to come. A weekend comes, and then my kids are like, "Daddy, we want to go out." So we do that, and that's fine. I love that.
Mhm.
But yeah, for me, it's about taking the time it takes from idea to actually getting it onto the table and getting everything filmed. And then, of course, once everything's in place, it then takes longer than it would do anyway if you were just going to have a weekend of building the scene.
Yep.
Because, like we
Right.
said earlier, you're setting all your cameras up and that. And I think because I put so much effort, and I know you all do, but I put so much effort into the edit, and I like it to be cinematic. So I'm
Yep.
rolling more than one camera, and I've got all sorts of different things going on. I've got the auto dolly and all that stuff. And sometimes I will go back and refilm something, even though I might have
Yeah.
finished it. I
Yeah.
might go
Yeah.
back and print something out again just because I want the shot I want. Because for me, it's as much about the experience of the video as it is the build.
Yeah.
And that's part of, I think, making for YouTube. You're not just making it and pressing record on your camera. You're making a video.
Yeah.
And the video is important. So to get that right, and the evolution that we've all gone on, if you go back through all of our channels, I think, and watch our first videos and watch our most recent videos, you can clearly see that we've
Yeah.
thought about every step of that
Yeah.
process, and we've honed our skills and we've moved forward. And there's still room for improvement, certainly for myself.
Yeah,
We're going to
always.
keep going on that journey. But yeah, I wouldn't not do it because I'm filming it and it takes more time. I enjoy it. Like you said, Dennis, I enjoy making the videos, but
Yeah.
I'm lucky if I get one out a month.
So you
I
and
mean,
Dennis
say
both
that-
have kids, right?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, I'm in the same situation. If I can get
Yeah.
if I can get one full video out a month, like build, edit, ready to go, I'm
Yeah.
ecstatic.
I couldn't do it if I had children. There's no way. There's
No.
no way.
No,
And I
that-
wouldn't be able to do it if my wife didn't edit everything.
Mhm.
No
It
way.
takes a special skill.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's bath time. That's
Yeah.
going to take at least. Oh, my wonderful wife is going to do the bath with the kids. That's 40 minutes. I'm pretty sure I can go and set something up in the room,
Man.
and that's it. I get the camera
Done it.
out and I
Yeah.
build something brilliant. One scene down, 99 to go.
Yeah.
I've done it. I've done it plenty of times.
Yeah.
It's funny,
I
and
couldn't
I
do it.
told James this. If you, for you camera buffs out there, there's a gentleman named Philip Bloom. If you don't know him, look him up. I'll put some links in the description below. But James reminds me of the Philip Bloom in our building world. It's like he doesn't put out the videos as often as everyone else, but when he does, it's like an epic little movie. It's
Yes.
everyone takes note, stops, and it's like, oh,
Yep.
he put a video out, and let me just check this out. I know it's going
Yep.
to be something special. So
Right.
Oh,
while
man.
there's
Very
not
much.
a lot of quantity, it's this quality. It's a special quality where
Yep.
okay, this is going to be something big, and
The
it's by
video is
this
as
guy,
good as the
you know?
project, right?
Right,
It's like
right,
they're
exactly,
equal.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So that, you remind me of Philip Bloom.
There you
Well,
go,
thank you.
James.
I appreciate that.
Great. Now I got to go add Philip Bloom to my list.
Yeah, yeah. But what he does is, again, he'll release something. Maybe, I mean, I know he's doing other projects and stuff, but he'll release
Right.
like a camera review, which he doesn't really. It's hard to say it's a review. It's more like a documentary of a new camera and its features, and he goes through everything. And then there's the music, the drama that's built up to it, his honest
I mean-
opinions. It's just it's a unique experience versus a lot of other, I don't want to say content creators, but a lot of other reviewers of cameras. And I like video cameras and
Sure.
DSLR. Well, mirrorless cameras now, and it used to be
Yeah.
DSLRs, and I would watch everybody. There was like at least 20 to 30 people that are like the top people in that industry. And it seemed like, whereas like you've got our Godfather here in this industry, that's kind of how Philip Bloom is in that industry. He's the guy. Like you stop
storyteller.
and just you watch this guy. He'll give it to you straight. There's no BS. And it's a very enjoyable, sometimes a part 1 and part 2 experience.
Is it
Yeah,
like,
we could watch
does the storytelling that he does, Ron, is that kind of what grabs you?
There's some storytelling in it, but a lot of
Yeah.
just facts and just no BS. Like it's funny,
Okay.
his videos are longer too, like a
Yeah.
full hour, whereas most people gets you like in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's not the type of thing where you're like, oh my God, it's an hour. I'm not watching all that. You want to see what's next, and you're often happy that he's put a part 2 to this thing to talk about these other features. And you're like, oh, 2 of them. This is great. It's like a treat,
You said about music, and I think music, well, for me, is key. Although there are lots of videos where there isn't music and it still works. I mean,
Yeah.
Adam Savage does a lot where there is no music for ages. It's just him sort of moving around his workshop, and you can hear everything, the tools going on the table.
Yeah.
and it's
Right.
good. It works really well. But I like orchestral music, and it's just something that I really enjoy. Even way back as a kid when I was building Lego, I used to have movie themes on in the background. I think even the Star Trek soundtracks, for example, some really great music in the Star Trek movies, and of course the original Star Wars films. And so when I do the video, you'll see that there's a bit of a theme where there's normally 3 whole pieces of music, which is why the videos end up around 10 or 12 minutes long.
Yeah.
And I actually edit to the music, and if I need
Oh,
to
yeah.
expand, if I need to lengthen a piece, I'll sort of cleverly cut the track.
Yep.
And listen to the beat and stop it on the beat, and then double the track. It takes a little bit of doing. It's basically like DJing, I guess. So I do that a lot, but I also end with the music. And I noticed, Dennis, you did that in the last video quite
Yeah.
well. But
Yeah.
when there's a crescendo happening, you're coming to the end of your piece, and that works better than just fading the music out, because the music is doing a lot of the work for you. It's taking the viewer on a journey, and then it helps it's like lighting. It helps your prop or your model, because people are along there, and I've done a lot of that. Sometimes I feel maybe I use too much orchestral because it's not always jolly and upbeat. It's more dramatic and nostalgic, but that's just the way I do it. And we've
The
all got very
variety is
different
great,
themes, I
though.
think.
Yeah. I got to
I
learn
think-
how to do that with the music. I just fade it and I'm done
That-
with it.
That's something actually that I've learned from James, and in the last 3 videos I've done that way too, where now I'll actually lay the music track down first,
Yeah.
then go back and edit
Yeah.
the film over the music.
Yeah.
Right.
I found it honestly, I find it easier that way, because it's a lot easier to find where your cuts are, where you should end,
Yeah.
where you should,
Yeah.
because you're following a beat. I mean, there's no other way to put it. You're following the beat of the music.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the end of the track is a natural reset as well. So it kind of resets the ears and the mind and everything. Okay, so that's the first bit done.
Yeah.
We've listened to Dennis or Ron or whatever talk about this bit, and now we're going to do this piece. The music naturally brings you to a resting point. There's lots of research done on this as well. And in fact, if you watch audiences, when the music in a movie comes to a natural end, they'll often just sort of reposition themselves in their seats, because okay, sort of getting ready for the next scene. It's a mental thing that happens, and it's done a lot in many different media products to sort of reset, and that I feel it works quite well. Nerdforge, who I've been watching a lot of recently, they do a lot of that with orchestral music too, which is really good to see, because it's not something I see that often. So yeah, that was good.
It's interesting to hear all 4 of us kind of approach this in a different method. Ron is very, I need to show you every step of a process so you can do it, which is fantastic. When you go to look for that, that's what you want. And then, if you have something that James puts out that is a little more maybe on the story driven side of things with the music, and then Dennis is putting kind of a combination of both of those things together, right? So I find it fascinating that since starting recording and publishing videos, what aspects of making a video I find the most enjoyment out of, and we've slowly started moving ourselves in that direction. I mean, we've even had conversations as recent as a week ago of, we're not just going to make Star Wars content all the time. I know, shocker, right? Insert scream here. But the reality is it's like there's so much to explore. And though we've been doing this for 4 years, it's like there's room to kind of branch out and do more of it and see what other things are out there to make, as well as record and all of that stuff. Yeah, I don't know. We've talked a lot about even like making a short film.
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
Yeah.
I've talked to James about the same stuff. I
Yeah.
want to branch out. I want to make other things.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. There's, that's the beauty. The beauty about YouTube is there's no one there telling you what to do.
Right.
Granted, your audience might not come with you, or you need to do it in a way that you bring the audience with you, which is probably the better way to go. But there's no rules for this. And if you're doing it for fun, I've met a few folks along the way where there's been some real frustration because they did it for 6 months and they wanted to know why they didn't quit their full-time job. And I'm like, I don't have the answer for you on that. I still work a really high demand full-time job, and I do this at night and on the weekends, and I don't do anything else.
Yep.
But I'm doing it because I love to do it. So if you come into this because you just want to create, and I'm going to call it art because I really think it is, not just what we build, but what we film and edit, and the way we present it that's showing artwork to somebody. If you're doing it for the love of that, you're going to be fine. If you're doing it because you want YouTube to send you a paycheck, buckle up, baby.
Even if you're doing it for that reason, or that is your ultimate goal, that is such a long game. That's not that is not a 6-month thing, or even there's guys out there who have 1 million view videos who haven't monetized yet.
Yeah.
I think as well, another thing to think about as a regular content creator, if you want to use that as an umbrella term, you start to build up a catalog of videos. And I made a bit of a count the other day, and a Rebel Base build, I've only made sort of 25-ish, 24, 25 actual episodes of Rebel Base build, and it feels so much more. But that's all there is. So I consider myself I consider the channel fairly successful because of that, because I've got I don't know, something like 12,000 whatever it is subs, which subs aren't everything, and that's not what this conversation is about. But obviously people have seen something and they've clicked in and thought, oh, that was quite cool. So but you can still beat yourself up about it. The point I was making was, okay, I've only made sort of 20 odd episodes, and there's lots of other stuff on my channel from my other hobbies and things, like the piano playing and the 3D game development. But you have to sometimes take stock of how lucky you are that people are stopping and looking at your content. And it's easy to sometimes fall into that sort of dark playground where you are just looking at numbers and watch times and all this other stuff that YouTube encourages you to do, because there's tools for you to do that. But actually that is not what it's about. And because it's not paying the bills, it isn't about that, because it's such as you just said, it's a long game.
You actually cured me of that problem this week, because I reached out to James because I was, like, you're right. YouTube tells you're getting, if you skip a week or a few weeks, it'll tell you you're getting 60% less views. Like it's gauged to encourage you to put out as much content as you possibly can.
Yes.
And it makes you feel bad when you don't.
Yeah.
And I feel really fortunate for all three of you guys and all the people that support us, because that's why we do it. And there's a community that we're all a part of that's been built around these things we do. And everybody in that community is amazingly supportive. And I don't know.
Couldn't agree more.
I think it's amazing.
I think this is my roughly over 2 years now that I've been doing the YouTube thing. My first 4 or 5 videos were nothing but hands. I didn't even talk. It was hands.
Yeah, I remember that.
Subtitles.
Yeah.
Wasn't that Dave at Why Does Wicked Work? He encouraged you to get in front of the camera. Yeah. So thanks, Dave.
And I mean, you evolve, but you have to start somewhere no matter what.
Yeah.
Well, whatever your comfort level is where you should start.
Just start. Yep,
just start.
Exactly.
I mean, over a period of 2 years, I think I have roughly 30 videos and maybe 2 or 3 shorts. and I'm just under 4,000 subscribers right now.
Yeah, and that's another thing. If you're starting out, maybe just start with shorts. That'll get you at least, you know, in that mode to create something more, and then you start to go longer and longer. You don't have to make this epic masterpiece your first time. And rarely does anyone do that. It's, you know, I think the first 10 videos is really just you finding your style or crafting everything, you know, kind of getting everything tightened up to what you want to be. So, I mean, look at anyone's channel, unless they have some sort of sponsors coaching them that have been in the industry of like making full television episodes or something. People start off pretty bad. I mean, you use whatever camera you have. You don't have to have the best. You use whatever audio equipment, if any. I mean, a cell phone, and you know, cell phones these days are incredible. Both on the iPhone side and Android. It doesn't even matter. Use that. Start making something, you know, and never think to yourself, nobody's gonna want to see this. If we'd all had that thought, there'd be none of this.
Absolutely. You know, we talked about Whitey, and Dave told me one time, a long time ago when I first started this, you got to make 100 bad videos before you get a good one, or you even know what direction you want to go in.
Right? That's with anything. You got to write 100 bad stories or take 100 bad pictures before you get the one, right?
Right. You just got to start. You got to start.
I think the thing is as well, you know, when somebody lands on your video and they see your thumbnail, I was thinking about this the other day because I was thinking of having a bit of a rehash of some of my thumbnails. Just because I'm a YouTuber, I'm not just a builder. I have to think about those things, and if they click on your video, they only see if they're not a follower and they're not like a loyal, because you know, it's really lovely that you get people that come back and watch your stuff and support you, and that's wonderful. The sort of new viewers, they don't know what other content you've got, so you know, they're not maybe expecting a whole channel full of Star Wars stuff. So that's the thing. You got to think as a creator, you've got to think about it, that when you're found on YouTube, they're not finding you as a complete channel, they're finding that one video, and from that one video they can go anywhere, you know. And the point is, don't just think that because you put a video out 6 months ago and it's got to say, let's say 4,000 or 5,000 views, that it's going to stay at that forever, because to someone that hasn't seen it, that's new content. It doesn't matter if it's been out 6 months, it's new content. So can you go back, change the thumbnail, change the title, play around with the key terms, maybe share it somewhere? Yes, because there's 6 billion people, on 7 billion people on the planet. I don't know how many of them are YouTube account, but you know, only 5,000 have seen my video. So it's new to a hell of a lot of people, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
But there's that to think about.
I can tell you right now, my kids watch YouTube. This Mr. Beast guy is on fire. So there's a lot of YouTube accounts out there. There's a lot of YouTube accounts.
Well, you know, like for example, myself, I just got into building a droid. So obviously I'm going to go out and find a ton of videos on making an R2. I'm finding stuff that's like 6-7 years old where people have already been there and done that. And but it's new to me, you know, and then they've got some techniques. I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have thought of that, you know? So, and then I subscribe. So they're just constantly getting subscribers from stuff that was years ago. They've moved on to some other stuff, you know?
Think about the people that find your channel, that they found something you made. Maybe it's recent, and they like the style in which you do it. And the next thing you know, they spend 3 or 4 days binge watching every single thing you've done. I mean, and
they're nice enough to tell you they've done it as well in the comments. Which is always great.
Oh, it's always great to hear that.
Yeah. There's also the trend in the difference of content depending on the age group that creates it, and I need to be careful how I say this one. But my youngest boy, he watches Minecraft videos like all the time.
My nephew does too.
These guys, I mean, look, they're kind of entertaining, I have to say. I get drawn into it too. But you know, all they're really doing is playing Minecraft with their friends and just being stupid. But they do this thing when they edit it. When they're speaking, there is no pauses in between what they're saying. It's like they come to the end of a sentence and then they start another one. Oh my God, and this is happening over here. And then we need to go and craft this over. There's zero pause time. And the thing is, with young people, that, you know, everything is instant gratitude in terms of they can order food online. It comes to the door. You can watch, you know, 10 years worth of TV shows without waiting. We had 4 channels and we had to wait a whole week for a new episode to come out. You know, okay, we have to wait a week now, but we can watch it on demand. But the thing is, the attention has been trained to be a lot less. So
Yeah.
when I make my videos and when you guys make your videos, I'm remembering TV shows from the 80s and 90s where, there'll be a nice establishing shot. Nobody will be speaking for 3 or 4 seconds.
Yep.
Music comes in, maybe a black fade, and then someone starts to say, so what do we know about the Naboo starfighter? Nice
Right.
pause, and then another cut to something else, and then you bring in a picture. But, the kids, they've probably clicked off onto the next Minecraft video.
Yeah,
because
you got
this
6
dude's taking
seconds if
too
you're
long.
lucky.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
they typed in a message like, man, it took you 10 minutes to get to the,
Yeah. Hey
Yeah.
guys, go to 3 minutes and 30 seconds where it
Yeah.
actually starts building.
Yep. Yep.
So there is
Yeah,
that.
it's a wild world, right? It's an
Mm.
insane thing to be involved in. I think no matter what kind of content you're making, if you would have gone back in 25 years ago and told me about this, I don't think I could wrap my head around the concept of a place you could go where
Mm.
anyone could make a movie about anything they want in any style they want, and people would go watch it.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Mind blowing. It's
It's as crazy
mind-blowing.
as using a phone to order food, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And I really
just-
wish I couldn't do that because it's expensive.
Just to give you a rough idea, I went and looked up this Mr. Beast guy that all these kids are watching. 104 million subscribers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big numbers, man.
Mhm.
Big numbers.
Average
That,
income.
folks, that's how you quit your job.
average
What-
video.
What is this
Aver-
dude making? What is he doing?
He's not doing anything. He's just being a fool.
Cool.
Hmm.
That's it.
I'm going to try that.
He's
Yeah.
just
I do that every day. Nobody watches me do
yeah,
it.
he's just he's
It's his charisma and it's his
he's-
presence and it's what he's drawn
Yeah.
folks into. You
he's
know? I
really
mean,
all over the place. He's video gaming. He's
yeah, that's how he started. I
taking
believe
you
was
on.
video
Yeah,
gaming.
yeah. He's taking you on trips. He's taking you
Yeah.
all over the
Mm.
place.
It's like Mark Rober. Is it Mark Rober? I can't remember.
Mike Rober, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. With Gus the Squirrel. I mean,
Yeah,
his stuff. Me and the youngest watched all of that. They're brilliant. They're brilliant. But he's a little bit more old school. He's a more like
Yeah.
mini documentaries, and they are done in the older style
Yeah.
because he's closer to our age, I guess. But he's still, all of my learners know that guy. They've seen all of
Yeah.
his videos. They all
Yeah.
know about Fat Gus the squirrel. They know that guy.
Yeah.
You're wondering what
I mean,
I'm on
that's
about
just
now.
it. You've got all these, like, you got different things that people
Yeah.
are interested in and they'll watch. And not everybody watches. I don't watch all the same content on YouTube. I have 10, 20, 30 different things I like to consume.
Mhm.
right.
And all of it's from different creators that do things in different ways.
Yeah,
Yep.
same.
So, yeah, I guess
So
the
there you
point
go.
of all this is it's a wild ride to do YouTube and make stuff, and everyone should do it, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
At least
Everybody.
try it once.
And the best
Everyone.
way to do it is just do it. Don't
Yeah.
think about it. Don't analyze it. Just do it. Make one.
Yep.
Just
Put it
do
up.
it, just like we've been doing for the last whatever it is on the Almost Star Wars show together as friends,
Exactly.
as always, where there are pauses and there are delays because we're all old. But we hope you've enjoyed this episode, and there's going to be lots more coming. So it's goodbye from me.
Yep. Take
See you
care, guys.
Good night, everybody.
And go make some videos.
Yes.